Effective city government requires attention to everything from major emergencies to routine problems, even a huge number of routine problems. But as we've already learned from Major League Baseball, there's a way to be more effective from adding up the small numbers and looking for bigger patterns. That's why Mayor Walsh developed a strategy around big data that resulted in CityScore. To tell us how it works and why it matters are the citywide performance manager, Dwelley, and performance analyst, Costa. Leabo. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
I want to start with Dwelley. I mean, a lot of people say big data. I mean, I don't understand that. So, I mean, how does this make a difference to people?
Yeah, so I think what we're trying to do with CityScore is actually to kind of get away from calling city data efforts and initiatives big data, but actually producing it in a way that is understandable and usable to the public. So we hope to do with CityScore by producing daily, quarterly, weekly metrics around the city performance is to be able to give them a glimpse overall of the health of the city instead of having them go through a different means or an analytical paper or have to go through a data set to find that information. We want to serve it up very easily to the public.
Well, one example given by one of the mayor's top aides is if you look at numbers on opioid overdoses. Yes. How does big data help the city respond better to that?
Yeah, so I think big data there helps us be able to identify and inform policy making and decision making. So, we're able to take data, whether it be from our EMS response system, from our public safety agencies, to better understand actually triggers of overdose or addiction, and the city can use that to then intervene, set policy, and figure out ways to kind of tackle this issue across the city.
Stephanie, you're the key person in building this, and you had to figure out how to filter out the signal from the noise. Explain how you did that.
Yeah, so what we did was we pulled all of these metrics from an earlier initiative that had gone on last year, developing cabinet-level dashboards with all of the mayor's cabinet chiefs. And so our team sat down with each cabinet chief and asked them, what are the things that you would want to see every day to help you better manage your cabinet? And so from there, we drew some of those metrics that would update on a daily basis, and that's what we pulled into CityScore, so that it was already reflective of the mayor's goals and the cabinet chief's goals, and really what their priorities are, and how, what will help them manage their work better.
Well, you can be good at managing, let's say, public works, but you get all this data being thrown at you. I guess you need someone to help them make sense out of it, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what Chris and I are here for. So as part of the city's performance management efforts, we work with departments all the time and help them make sense of the data that they generate and use that to improve their processes and deliver better services.
Chris, talk about being able to get information more quickly in real time, because you can spend months trying to log double parking, but if you can get something quickly, something that crystallizes from day to day even, how does that change the city's response? Yeah,
so I mean, more frequent data enables us to respond quicker. So instead of getting data that is monthly, quarterly, or more long term, which obviously hinders our ability to respond immediately, we are able to, with more frequent data, have immediate responses. So your example with double parked cars, for example, if we're able to surface that information immediately to the individuals who are out on the streets, ensuring that traffic flows smoothly, they're more likely to actually be able to move those cars along than if the data were to come in a day, a week later, which then it's difficult to actually be able to respond to kind of critical and more frequent immediate issues.
Stephanie, do these numbers change what people do, or even how they feel about what they're doing for the city?
I hope so. So while CityScore was just launched last week on the 15th, it definitely has already affected the way things are run in the streets cabinet. Chief Osgood has certainly been taking a look at the numbers that were in CityScore as we were piloting this internally, and he's used that to have conversations with folks in public works and transportation, and he's seen some really meaningful results in getting rid of backlogs and improving on-time performance.
All right. Chris, I guess the other thing here is how this ties into 311. How does that make things different?
Yeah, so in a few different ways. So we are taking 311 metrics, both the actual performance on how the city is taking calls, so how quickly we are answering the phone, how quickly we're able to actually respond knowledgeably to a constituent's requests, as well as getting data on the actual satisfaction of that performance, right? So was the call taker knowledgeable? Were they able to guide you to the appropriate department or to the appropriate individual? What was the actual experience like with the service that you received from the city? So that ties in directly on kind of the intake of, how people log requests with the city. And at the same time, similar to what Stephanie said, we're able to track our actual performance with, people logging requests like pothole repair, new tree plantings, graffiti removal, and actually see, how quickly we're responding to those requests and how well we're doing it.
Stephanie, I know departments heads have to look at this, especially in dashboard form. The mayor has to look at it. What about viewers in our show? I mean, would they see something that would be interesting for them to track too if they went to this particular part of the city's website?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
In other words,
visitors to the site?
You've got all these numbers on CityScore on part of the city's website. The department heads, they're looking at their dashboards. The mayor's looking at them. Would an average person find something interesting?
I think so, and that's part of the reason we developed the scoring for CityScore in the way that we did, so that it was easy to understand. Any number above 1 means that we're exceeding our expectations, below 1 means we need improvement. And so it's something where an average citizen who may not have a data background or a stats background can look at those numbers and they can get an immediate sense of how we're performing. And it's easy to see from day to day if you want to look at it every day, the numbers going up and down, that's relative increases and decreases in performance. So you definitely don't need substantial mathematics background to be able to get some insights out of it.
And I know this is pretty easy, Chris, but if people want to get a look at this and learn some more, what's the best place to go and do that?
Yeah, so one of the best places is the city's website. So it's cityboston.gov/CityScore, and there we have the actual dashboards that folks internal to the city see with all the metrics, as well as some additional information on how the score works. And one of the real important pieces I want to mention here is that there's also a feedback mechanism on the site, so which we definitely want to hear from the public on kind of their thoughts on CityScore and actually some of the content that they would like to see added in future iterations of CityScore.
Thank you both very much, Chris Dwelley and Stephanie Costa. Leabo.